What's the reason behind your Reddit profile name? My friend and I were blitzed and running around a play party. She was holding my clothes on her head because, by her reasoning, if I couldn't get dressed, I couldn't leave. As we giggled and dashed around the fenced yard, someone said we weren't being very quiet. I whirled and said I think we all know I'm super fucking subtle, and my friend stopped in her tracks and said ooh that's all new now I am. Turns out super subtle is sometimes taken on more popular sites, so the literal take rather than the joke is what I use most often these days. When I first started at a new role for the mod, I had to travel to a satellite site to do an installation. I took my own car and picked up a couple of lads from the team. My wife had used the car the day before, so when I turned on the stereo, out came 9-5 by Dolly Parton. I was Dolly from that moment on. When I chose my public access email system email address, I used the Dolly part, and as that was taken in the simplest form, I added my work's extension number, 3900. At that moment, Dolly 3900 was born. That was in 1997. At first this was a troll account because in my province I thought the natives were trying to claim land that I own legally. And realizing they actually didn't want it but just wanted it to be known it was unceded territory, and they wanted nothing else to do with it, we found a common ground and there have been no issues. I stuck with this account because my main one got banned because I told a dog lover that if a dog attacked my child I would kill the dog. No hesitation. When I worked as a bartender, I got the nickname Ghost because an entire conversation between my co-workers and regulars about my hair occurred on Facebook without me knowing until the next day. I went to work, and one of my regulars called me Ghost and told me to check FB. I had to catch up on pages of text with one of the regulars ending up calling me a ghost because I was absent during the entire thing. Edit my username used to be microdose ISD. I also microdose mushrooms first part of the name. I created this account as a throwaway to answer what's your deep dark secret. You can probably guess that mine was I'm a father with a secret addiction to painkillers. Well, that secret stayed with me for close to 10 years after I answered that question. When I cleaned up and started my recovery, decided I didn't want secrets anymore. Luckily, I used a common password when I created this account. It was still there, so I made it my main. I made an account since my big sister wanted to write Loki thirst fix, but was too embarrassed to make the account. She always said if she was an author she'd have a flowery pen name like Cordelia Stewart, so of course I named it that. Turns out that she stopped writing after a while. My fanfics really took off, except it's the Hunger Games ones that got big, and now I use Lady Cordelia Stewart everywhere. This username is just my real name, and I regret it. I use the username Chota Keetha in most sites now, which is Hindi translation of small insect. Reason is, when I was watching Shinchan, there was a scene where both Himawari and Shinchan were rolling on the floor, or saying in Hindi small insect roll roll. For some reason I enjoyed that scene, and that line that I still remember it. My display name is more deep than my real username. Star my pseudonym. Sky Children of the Light, my fav game. T Taylor Swift, my fav artist, I get it, im cringe. Avatar The Last Airbender, my fav show once again, I get it. Im a kid, H Harry Potter, my fav book series. My username is Star Random, my eat name, but instead of Star it's Haley, my alt OC's name. Upon the mysterious case of the Reddit randomizer, legend has it that a mischievous algorithm named Randomator got bored one day and started slapping together usernames like a toddler with a keyboard. And thus, Curious Employee 1619 was born, destined for the grand quest of unraveling the internet's greatest mysteries. I used to have a profile name on other platforms called Silly Teapot. I wanted something slightly more adult, and I like coffee more than tea, so I dropped the silly and went with Coffee Pot instead. I spelled it with a K because I like the band Cone and added an X to make it fancy. Used both names since I started being online. Sasa was my name when I started being an amateur model in 2007. Got it earlier from a friend. 2 letters from my name to from the town I was born. Shadowed is a name I chose 15 years ago. I use it for my photography things. I'm sure we can all relate to mine, anyway. Now I go to YouTube comments or go on X because I don't get banned on there for saying what I think. Can't say anything political on here either unless it supports the Biden administration. Not like YouTube or X, so weird. My official name is Risk, and I'm a lesbian. Me changed and being gay isn't my whole personality trait anymore. I was 13 and only out of the closet for like 3 months when I made my profile, so I really fucking wish I could change my username. I planted my first tree, and it was a white willow sapling. It's 24 years old now, and it holds all my beloved animals that passed away in its roots. I get to enjoy that tree's shade and spend time with all my animals even if they are not with me in person anymore. Around the time I created my account, I was discussing with a friend how my dog can be a real psycho sometimes. She's a Jack Russell and full of energy. She's sweet when she wants to be. My friend and I agreed that's exactly how her owner is ... minus the energy. I have no idea. I created this account years ago and never used it until I logged back in last year, and this is the name it had. I don't know if Reddit automatically assigned me with this username or something. But also, I can't change it. I just embraced it. It's the reverse spelling of Han Solo, but with A because it sounded more Viking-ish. We were coming up with DD character names and someone had the idea of reversing names to see if they sounded neat. We did this circa 81, so yeah. It's really old. Whenever I need to make a username, I always steal one from whatever music I'm listening to. This time it was Hurricane Starang by OGC. Starang is a rapper who also goes by the name Strangle, so I steal my usernames from songs or rappers. G Labyrinth of Magic, as well as the BBC show Merlin, and named myself accordingly Magi Merlin. And later I got into Homestuck, and I just changed the format to fit a Pestitcham handle Magimelin. I used to play a game called my username was Dr. Forgom0rn. When I made my Reddit account not long after I had stopped playing that game, I decided to make a username that was similar to the one I had used before. MHA, and heard AI cover of Gimme More where it said it's Bakugo bitch instead of it's Britney bitch, which made me laugh. And although I'm fond of the devil's lettuce, a 420 is Bakugo's birthday. Because I can whistle better than anyone I know. I did not say that I could whistle better than anybody. I just know that at age 68, I have never been around anyone who could whistle better than I can. Kept forgetting my accounts. Made this one for armor and marketing purposes, and it's named after a running joke in our team at the time. Never used the account for anything but personal use tbh. Alt account. Couldn't come up with something clever. I just kind of stuck with this one. Now people think it's one of those clever Reddit accounts where every reply is just me making shit up. I have had this username since the first Call of Duty game. I've used it for many platforms. It's always stuck as my username since then. I was damn good at that game and the name fit well. Because Jack jumped over the candlestick, fell down and broke his crown. AKA a man facing the consequences for his actions. The other version, he burned his toes and again consequences. Well, I took it from Haas, Gotia or something. I'm not religious. I couldn't think of anything when making this account, so I went online and dug around. I found the names and took one. I like boobies and bees and all things spooky. And bees dressed as ghosts. Just Google boobies and it's cartoon bees with sheets to look like little ghosts. Cuttest thing to me. I like going shirtless and barefoot as often as possible. I actually like going full my naked as often as possible, but I went with shirtless and shoeless for my username. It's the name of my book. My publicist told me to use social media as a marketing tool. Don't think I understood the assignment. It's also just objectively a cool name. In Austrian dialect, Germanisch Katzelschwaf is a tongue breaker. It means squirrel tail. And I found it funny to put squirrel in English and the tail in Austrian German. While visiting friends studying in Birmingham, I realized they lived right opposite Ozzy's childhood house on Lodge RD. And I happened to be a huge Black Sabbath fan. When I moved on from my original account, this was the random name Reddit suggested for me at the time, and it ended up being somewhat apt, so I just rocked with it. Old gamer tag from way back when, and based off my favorite things at the time, Street Stripe Sock City from the song Toxicity by Sostricity. Back in the 90s, I thought the word gibberish was written like my nickname, so it became a thing when all the other favorite usernames are taken. Many moons ago, I was first signing up for Xbox Live and the name I wanted was already taken, and it threw this one out as a suggestion. I have Down syndrome, and I like to make a pun even if it makes no sense because I'm not down low about it because I cannot hide it, to be honest. And what shall I be called? Can't be my name ... Oh, I know Bailey, but what do I add? Oh, I know, not Bailey UHH 12. Basically my thought process. My sister said it once when I was like 8. And we laughed for literally half an hour afterward. For some reason, the experience stuck with me. It was my childhood nickname because any time my parents sat down, I ran to sit in their lap. I hugged everyone and was just super affectionate. My mother used to use it as an insult towards me as a child. It left me massively insecure and self-doubting, but it seemed fitting for Reddit. It was auto-generated but suits me for various reasons. I'm pretty ambitious and my family has a ridiculous history of clock collecting.